Hey, so in this video, we're going to attempt to start a one-player mode, so a human versus a computer player. I would strongly suggest that once you have a working game, we really don't want to mess this up, and you can do that the moment we try to make a computer player. So I'm going to close this. What I'm going to do is make a copy of my project folder, and then I'm going to paste. Okay, and so there I have a copy of my tic-tac-toe game. So I'm going to leave this one alone because I know it works. I'm happy with it. It's a nice two-player game. And I'm going to start working from my copy now, just in case I get stuck and it's the deadline for the project. So I do have something that I can submit, a working program. Okay, so I'm going to open up package file. And we're going to get the one-player mode started. So if I run this right now, nothing. Oops, I do. Okay, I realize I did make code for that. I'll just show that to you. So I did make code for clicking the one-player button, and that would be on in mouse clicked. So my mouse clicked is down here. And yeah, so if screen equals 1, oh yes. So I did already do my if statement for my one player button. So if you haven't done that, you'll need to do that first. And then I already have my two player button. Okay, so if they click on the one player button, you want to, again, change screen to 2, so similar to what you did here. But this time we're going to make players equal to 1 instead of 2. All right. Then in screen 2, so when the user clicks the mouse, if it's screen 2, then what I'm going to do here is say if screen equals 2 and players equals 2, because all this code here already works for my two-player game. So I'm going to say I'm on the playing board and 2 players. And then what I'm going to carefully do is I'm going to copy this. So this is one else if statement, but then I have a whole bunch of if statements inside this part, this else if. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to copy all of this. And be very careful when you do this. So it should be right to that brace. And I'm going to copy and paste. And then go to the top of that else if right here. Okay, so this will be if screen is 2 and players is 1. And I'm going to change my comment here. All right. So again, if I just review this here, I've got in my mouse clicked, I'm saying if screen equals 1, do this. Else if screen is 2 and players is 2, then do all of this. So we're gonna do one of these things based on where they click. And then I've got a third else if down here saying if screen is 2 and players is 1, then we're going to do something different. Now, the reason why we copied and pasted is because we're going to reuse all of these if statements for the human player. So basically, if they click in this region, then we're going to take that spot. Okay, but the thing we're going to change here is if it's player 2's turn. Okay, so the human player will be player 1, but for this here, we're going to get rid of this. So we're only going to let player 1 click in that spot. Okay, and we're going to delete all of these else ifs. Okay. So carefully take out all of these else's. Almost there. One more. Okay, so at the end of this, so basically all of these if statements are just deciding where player one moves. Okay, so all of these will determine where player one clicks, and if they click, let's say on box H, then I'm going to assign that H spot to a 1. And then after all of those if statements, I'm going to say computer move. So I'm going to build a method called computer move, and that will decide where the computer is going to go. Okay, so every time the user clicks in one of these boxes, then it's going to be the computer's turn to go. Okay, so we're going to make a method down here called computer move. It does not require any parameters, so no inputs, and it's not going to return anything. It's just going to be void. Okay. So this is going to be the challenging part right here. It's going to be a lot of if statements and a lot of thinking here. We could just build a random computer player and it just picks a random square as long as that box is not occupied. But we want to do better than that and have kind of a strategy. So let's start with a defensive strategy. And we're basically going to say if A is 1 and B is 1 and C is 1, and if C is 0. So basically I'm saying this is the top row, and if player 1 has occupied the first one and the second one, and if the third one is free, I want to go there. So I'm going to make C, the C box, I'm going to change it to 2. So player 2, or the computer player, is going to occupy that space. Okay. And then just for now, we are going to have a lot more if statements, but just for testing purposes, let's say that that's not true. Then I'm just going to have the human player occupy the middle. So that would be E1. So I'm going to have the computer player occupy the middle square. Obviously, that will only work if E1 is equal to 0. Okay, so I'm going to come back, or you're going to change this later. But right now, I'm just saying if player 1 is about to win on the top row, then I'm going to block them. Otherwise, I'm just going to take the middle square. Okay. Now, at the end of this method, I want to change turn back to 1 so that it's player 1's turn. And I'm going to say repaint. Okay, I may not have to say repaint because I've noticed I've put it up here at the end of my mouse clicked. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to compile this. Oops, 2 equal signs here to determine if players is 2. And again down here. Okay, so right now 1 player. So if I click somewhere, my guess, I'm gonna click up here first. My guess is that the computer is going to take the middle box. There we go. So I just clicked once up here, and the computer took the middle box. Now watch. If I click here, then that if statement should take place, and the computer should block me. There we go. So right now I have nothing else. So if I click here, for example, the computer is not going to move. So I have to tell it where to go. So perhaps to block or to win the game here. Okay, so your job now is to try and add a lot more if statements here so that the computer always knows where to go. So as an example, I might do another thing on the top row. So if A is 1 and B is 0 and C is 1. So that means if player 1 occupies the top row except for the middle square, B, then that's where I'm going to go. So B is going to be assigned 2. So the computer is going to move there. And then, of course, you could do the bottom row. If A is 0 and B is 1 and C is 1, then I want A to be 2. So the computer player is going to take box A. All right. So that's just for the top row. These are all the permutations for the top row. So then you could do the middle row, the bottom row, the three vertical rows, and then the diagonals. Yeah, so I'll let you try and do the rest of that and see if you can get it working. It'll take a lot of testing. You'll have to run the program quite a few times. Yeah, stick with it, and I think you could probably do it. So this is all a defensive strategy, basically, if player one is going to win. So then what you could do is think about more if statements for an offensive strategy. For instance, if the computer has 2 in a row, then obviously you want to win the game on the next move if possible. So I will let you have fun with that, and we'll see you in the next video.